So, welcome everybody to the Food Systems Summit dialogue. I'm Ian Randall. I'm from the Good Food Hub, and I'll explain a bit more about us in a moment. But I'm very excited to bring together two groups today, all the sort of small businesses around the world that are making our food more nourishing, sustainable, resilient, and inclusive, and the Public Development Banks Coalition, which is a group of the major banks, public banks in the world that are using public capital to try and support the sector. And they've been getting together to ask how they can make the sector greener and more inclusive. So today, that's the question we've got, really. We're going to be asking, how can public capital help small businesses make our food systems greener and more inclusive, with a particular focus on Latin America and Africa. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Just going to go through some really practical things at first. And the first one is interpretation. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a little globe. And if you click that globe, you will be given an interpretation option of English, Francais, or Espanol. And you should pick the language that you want to listen in on, and we have interpreters there. Next things, just some call etiquette. Please, we've got a lot of people on the call, so if you've got comments, feel free to use the comment box, the chat box. That allows us all to chip in, and I'll be glancing at that, see if there's any comments, but it means you can kind of see each other and connect with each other freely. Please do have your mute button on unless you're speaking. It just helps with lots of the background noise. So put your mute button on. If you've got the bandwidth, please have your video on. It's really nice to see everybody's faces. Makes us feel connected and a big family around the world. We are recording this video, so be aware of that. And we will put it on after, we'll post it afterwards so other people can watch that couldn't join today. Both for that reason and just as good practice on these calls, please don't share any commercially sensitive information. So, share about your business, but don't do anything that feels commercially sensitive. And then the last thing I just want to say is thanks so much also to EIT Food, who through their EU funding are the ones that have kind of sponsored making this possible. Now, with that said, I'm going to hand over now to Julian Astoloa, who works for IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development. They're anchoring this coalition of public development banks around the world, and they're also the kind of conveners for this session. So I want to give Julian a chance to welcome us all and just explain a little bit about the Public Development Bank Coalition and its goals for public capital. Over to you, Julian.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Ian, and welcome everyone. It's very nice to see many people connected. I see 75 participants, and welcome to all of you from all around the world. As Ian Randall just explained, from the IFAD side, we are moving forward an initiative related to the key role of public development banks in leveraging public finance to transform and make food systems more green and more sustainable. This has an origin at the first edition of the Financing Common Summit in 2020 that was hosted by the Agence Française de Développement. At the first edition of the summit, there was a cluster of public development banks with a portfolio in agriculture that they signed a declaration on agriculture. And after that first edition of the summit, there was a working group created to generate knowledge and provide technical cooperation and knowledge sharing to all the members of this working group that met on a bi-monthly basis during last year. Also, this working group and the PDV initiative has an important presence last year at the first at the 4 main global engagement events. This was the Food System Summit, also the second edition of the Financing Common Summit, COP26, where we have the possibility to have a specific side event to discuss the key role of PDB to mobilize climate finance. And finally, we also organize a side event at the Nutrition for Growth Summit hosted by the government of Japan. As I said before, in the second edition of the Financing Common Summit that took place in October here in Rome, all these PDBs launched a PDB platform that we are still shaping and working with the different banks to agree on the concept note and specifically what this platform will offer to the different banks. This working group has banks from all around the globe. We have a lot of banks from Africa, Latin America, Asia as well. So again, we invite all of you that have not been reached to share your ideas to the concept note of this platform that is ongoing, to please feel free to be in contact with us. And again, thanks for your interest. Over.
Thanks so much, Julian. Yeah, so for all your SMEs, this is sort of I think a great moment where we get to turn up and talk to the public development banks that are coming to try and finance us. And yeah, so for the Good Food Hub, we're a global community of small businesses. We were born out of the UN Food System Summit. Many of you will have kind of registered on that platform. We're here to try and just channel you opportunities to strengthen your businesses as you're doing good work around the world, but also bring your voice into these spaces, because we often don't get to turn up and influence because we're a scattered community of small organizations. So we're hoping that we can be part of these processes and influence the players that are here to support us. And it's an exciting opportunity today to do just that with some of the public development banks. So we're going to have an agenda really about 3 parts. The first part is going to be doing some listening to all your SMEs about the amazing work you're doing and some of your financing constraints. And that's really so we start kind of inspiring all these players, the public development banks, about what small businesses can offer in terms of the impact they have, and be clear about our financing needs. So we'll do some listening on that to start the agenda. And then the middle third of this session, we'll go into 3 groups. We're really lucky today to be joined by the CEOs of public development banks in Senegal, Rwanda, and Mexico. And so we'll have a conversation in each of those countries to sort of listen to what's going on in those contexts, and a chance to give feedback, to celebrate what's good, and to say, hey, what could be even better, in a spirit of kind of positive collaboration. And then we'll come back for the final third into a plenary session where we all come together and we'll hear what the feedback was, and we'll ask what are the lessons there for how public development banks can continue to support small businesses making our food greener and more inclusive. So we'll bring that back into an open conversation at the end. So I'm going to start then with a way of trying to, we'll see if this works, but listen to all you SMEs about your impact potential and your financial barriers. And we've got a little kind of a tool to do that. I'm just going to demo it first, and then we'll give you the link. So here's my screen. So I'm going to share in a minute the link to this, what's called a Padlet, and it's a map of the world. And it means you can post a little information about your business. I've already got 2 businesses that I'm a part owner on there, already on there. So here's my family's beach cafe. But if I show you how you put your own business on, there's a little button in the top right-hand corner. When you click on it, I can put where I am, which is Asheville, North Carolina. And then I can write something, and I can say the Good Food Hub helps small businesses. I'm going to keep it simple. and we are looking for sponsors. That's my financial need. And if you want to, you can also then add in a link, a web link to your business. So here I go, goodfood.business. There we go. And there's a little picture that comes up drawn from the website. So we're all going to post those pieces of information. What's the impact? What have I speak your name of your business? What's the impact it has? What's the financial constraint that you have at the moment? And really that's just so that public development banks can hear that. And then if you want to put a photo or a website up as a thing. So I'm going to now post this link. Oh, Alice, you may be ahead of me here. I'm posting that link. There you go. Alice has posted it up there for you all. So if you click on that and go through, you should here. I didn't press the final button there, which is once you've written it and you need to press publish and then it pops up. But that's encouraging. I can see people starting to post things. Somebody's posting one from Mexico. So yeah, really curious to see how all of you pop up, and I'll go and have a look and read some out loud. While folks are doing that, I did kind of line up a few businesses that I know well enough to have a quick invitation to share some of their stories. So actually, Cindy, maybe I'll start with you and Le Liencieux. I'm really curious, but just if you could share a little bit about your business, the impact it's having, a financial constraint you're facing that would be interesting to share with the public development banks here. And feel free to speak in French if you'd like. And for those who didn't hear, there's an interpretation button at the bottom. So if Cindy speaks in French, we should get it translated.
Okay, thank you so much, Ian. So I'm going to continue in French. I'm most comfortable. So bonjour tout le monde. Donc moi je m'appelle Sini Samba. Je suis du Sénégal. Je suis la cofondatrice de l'entreprise Le Lionceau. Donc Le Lionceau, c'est une entreprise au Sénégal qui est spécialisée dans l'alimentation et la nutrition infantile. Donc, tout a commencé à la suite à une expérience professionnelle au sein du leader de l'alimentation pour bébés en France, où j'ai eu un déclic en me disant, en voyant qu'au Sénégal, en fait, 100% de l'offre qu'on avait sur le marché du baby food était importée, alors que nous avons des ressources locales qui attendent juste à être transformées. Et en même temps aussi, de l'autre côté de la chaîne, on voit qu'il y a énormément de pertes post-récolte au niveau des producteurs. Donc, par exemple, sur la filière de la mangue, on a plus de 50% de la production de la mangue qui est perdue au champ. Et je me suis dit, pourquoi ne pas valoriser toutes ces pertes agricoles et de proposer sur le marché local des produits pour les bébés qui vont être adaptés aux habitudes de consommation locales et au goût également. Donc, c'est de là où est née la création de l'entreprise Le Lionceau. Et aujourd'hui, nous proposons sur le marché toute une gamme d'aliments pour bébés, donc 100% local et de haute valeur nutritive. Donc, notre impact, c'est vraiment de renforcer la chaîne de valeur alimentaire au Sénégal, en collaborant d'une part donc, avec des producteurs locaux, donc, ce qui leur permet d'avoir des revenus plus stables, de mieux anticiper, par exemple, leur campagne de production et en même temps aussi de renforcer leur capacité en leur faisant des formations sur, par exemple, les techniques de récolte pour mieux préserver les matières premières pour ne pas qu'elles se détériorent avant que ça n'arrive chez nous, transformateurs. Et de l'autre côté de la chaîne, l'impact que nous avons, c'est sur les consommateurs, donc les parents et surtout les bébés, dans le sens où, à travers, grâce à nos produits, on renforce leur statut nutritionnel en leur fournissant des produits qui sont adaptés à leurs besoins nutritionnels pour mieux grandir et bien sûr fait à partir de matières premières locales. Donc, c'est vraiment, on travaille vraiment sur toute la chaîne de valeur avec un impact d'un bout de la chaîne jusqu'à l'autre côté. Donc, vraiment de la fourche à la fourchette. Et du coup, aujourd'hui, en termes de contraintes qu'on rencontre financièrement, nous, aujourd'hui, on est dans une étape de changement d'échelle, dans le sens où on va passer d'une étape où on est où on a une petite unité de transformation, où on doit changer d'échelle. On part dans la grande distribution, on doit augmenter notre capacité de production. Et du coup, là, on a besoin de financement, surtout beaucoup en termes de CAPEX, c'est-à-dire sur tout ce qui est investissement, équipement, la construction d'une nouvelle unité qui soit dans les normes en qualité HACCP. Et aujourd'hui, on a du mal à avoir des financements, en fait, qui correspondent à nous, notre stade de développement. Donc, souvent, on va voir, par exemple, des prêts à un taux qui peut-être un peu trop élevé pour, en tout cas, une entreprise dans le domaine de la transformation qui, au début, va faire beaucoup d'investissements en machines avant d'avoir après un retour sur investissement. Donc, généralement, ces genres de modalités, en tout cas, ne fonctionnent pas avec nous et ça reste très problématique parce que nous, on a besoin de cash pour avancer, pour faire grandir l'entreprise. Sauf qu'en face, on a ces problèmes d'avoir des modèles financiers, en tout cas, adaptés à notre stade de développement. Merci.
Thanks so much, Anthony. Thank you. It was fantastic. Both, I mean, really brilliant to hear your entrepreneur's journey, but also compelling where you are in that, wanting to scale up and your need for some capital to get the machinery that will allow you to scale without compromising your cash flow. Maybe let's go somewhere else. Javier, I can see you're there, and Smartfish in Mexico. Again, feel free to speak in Spanish. I know you're bilingual, but yeah, please share a little bit about your business, the impact you have, and you know, what some of the kind of financial constraints are that you might need help for that's relevant to this public development banks.
Okay, I'm going to try to do it in English right now, and then in the discussion talk in Spanish, because I wrote something and it's in English, so I prefer to do it right now in English. So yeah, my name is Javier Van Cauler, and I'm partner and CEO of Smartfish Inc. We started working with artisanal fisheries a long time ago, and we started Smartfish with the idea of rescue the value of the catch of artisanal fisheries. Artisanal fishing generates around half of the total volume of fishing in the world and employs more than 90% of fishermen, and approximately half of these fishermen live in poverty. And fishermen receive so little money for their catch that they need to capture more fish in riskier ways to meet their needs, creating a cycle of overexploitation and poverty that is destroying the oceans and fishing communities. Our solution: we help fishers earn more fishing less. On the supply side, our sister company, Smartfish NGO, incubates strong, responsible co-ops to improve their fishing, processing, and business practices to rescue the value of their catch, enabling them to produce premium quality seafood that is socially responsible and environmentally sustainable. On the demand side, we, Smartfish Inc., serves as a good intermediary, trading with full transparency and traceability. And we shorten the value chain and practice open book negotiations with fishers co-ops. And this let us reach the market with premium, traceable, sustainable seafood at a competitive price. We currently own 3 stores in Mexico City, and we are about to open 2 more this year. We do online sales and sales to hotels and restaurants, and even export to the US. And right now we work with 6 co-ops and around 600 fishermen. On our stores, we also sell other products from small producers, and we apply our good intermediary model with all the producers. And we believe that, as simple as it sounds, the good intermediary model is what is needed in order to help small producers to develop and reach better markets. It is important to invest in developing producer capabilities, but if they cannot reach the market fairly, all the development and infrastructure may be lost. And as you can expect, there is a lot of money needed to develop capacities in fishermen communities, and also to create the market, open stores and everything. Right now, we rely on the business, on the NGO side, we rely on grant money. And on our side, we have looked more into impact investment from other countries other than Mexico. And usually the loans or the money that we can get in Mexico has a interest rate of 14% or more per year. And that is not what you need to develop this kind of business, or the time that you need the money to use it. So that's more or less what we are now.
Thank you so much, Javier. That's fascinating. And it's I can see posted on the Padlet, there's also another Mexican business. I'm going to mispronounce this. Granja Tepeyac. Anyway, 5th generation dairy farm, and they similarly flag the kind of high interest rates that they're struggling with in Mexico. And I can also see some other businesses going up here. We've got another one in Senegal, which is Yolele, West Africa. That's they're out developing underutilized ingredients like grain fonio to develop products for other markets, but they source them from smallholders, and they need to set up the facilities there. So again, it's in a way echoing some of Sini's experience of needing to get the capital to set up the kind of processing facilities. Let's go over to Rwanda now, where we have Kevin Odubo from Chambra Pro. I'm aware, I'm just want to keep on time. So Kelvin, if you just want to share quickly something about your business and its impact and your financial constraints, that would be great to get a Rwandan perspective.
Thank you, Ian. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Kelvin, and I'm the CEO and founder at Chambra Pro, an ag-tech startup based in Kigali, Rwanda. So we basically help farmers to build and run profitable farm businesses. We have a farm management solution that helps small-scale farmers and farm owners to be able to get productivity and efficiency in the farm business, and also to be able to have integrity and transparency in their farm records, so that they can build a basis to access suitable finance and other value chain services. So basically, we're looking forward to help small-scale farmers to be able to access finance to grow and expand their farm businesses. And again, the challenge of our farmers is finance. We're trying to help them to get finance. We need finance to optimize our technology to be able to deliver that promise, to be able to help them to access finance. Little bit poetic, but I'll get more time.
Thank you so much, Kelvin. It's great what you do. Brilliant. And there was one other business I was going to invite in at this point, and that's from Najibi, if I pronounced that correctly, in Senegal again. Julian, you were going to share a little bit about your business and its impact and the financial constraints that you face.
Yes, hello everyone. I guess you hear me, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm Julian from Nabi in Senegal. So we are a company developing solution like IoT solution to connect devices, and especially solar devices. And we also integrate solar solution. So our main product, our main solution is a solar water pump, which is connected, and which is actually commercialized through a partnership with La Banque Agricole, the Agricultural Bank of Senegal. And the way we designed this offer, and we are kind of very proud and very happy with what is going on right now in the market, is that we offer the technical solution. We offer the warranty for the bank to actually monitor the payments, to be able to cut the service if the customer are not paying properly. And we are also selling the pump. The bank is providing the financing, and then the customer is repaying the credit, the loan to the bank directly. So that's something that is starting since few months now, and we are very happy with the outcome and the demand actually on the field. Sorry for the noise.
It's okay. Well, you're all inspiring to me. I hope the folks listening in from the Public Development Coalition can hear in each of those business stories a real entrepreneur that's committed to doing amazing work through their business, but not only in a way that gives them and their employees jobs and an income, but is actually also, in many cases, there's a crucial step in linking small-scale producers to markets, whether they're fisherfolk or farmers. They're at bridge, they're building, kind of providing services out and training, capacity building, and then linking them to markets in ways that are fair and increase incomes. There's such an important bridge in making those markets work and making them work for green and inclusive outcomes. And as we listen, all of them are established businesses that are hungry now to go to scale and need that extra capital, whether that is to reach out and support their smallholders or small scale producers, or whether that is to buy kind of costly capital equipment, or whether that's for cash flow. Somewhere in there, they need those services. I can look and I see other people have posted now. So we've got the farmers market in Kigali. We have a Nigerian business here. And there's a kind of similar story across that. The great thing is right now is we've got a chance to have a conversation with the banks. So the next step in our session today is we're going to break into three small groups, or three groups, one for Mexico, which will be run in Spanish, one for Rwanda that will be run in English, and one for Senegal that will be run in French. And I just want to say welcome and thank you so much to the representatives from the banks. We have Malik Ndayi, the CEO of La Banque Agricole, and then for the Development Bank of Rwanda, I'm afraid the CEO, Kimpeti, she got called off with a conflict. So, but we're very lucky to her to be represented today by Jean-Claude Ilibonnet, the head of business development. So thank you, Jean-Claude, for joining. And then we've got Alan Elizondo, Director General of FIRA in Mexico. Really privileged to have you all here. So we can ask you to grow into those groups. In those groups, we'll start off with a presentation from the bank on what they're doing to serve businesses like you and help make food systems greener and more inclusive. Then there's a chance for you all to give some feedback on what you love about the offering, what's great, and what might make it even better. So they've got a chance to hear and grow their offering. So right now, if you have a look down, Alice is about to share the breakout rooms, and you all need to choose the one that best matches either your language or your geography, and hopefully they they match up. Alice. Well, welcome back, everybody. I don't know about the other groups, but we could have gone on for much longer. That was great. We had some really rich, well, a very compelling presentation in our group about the work of the bank and really trying to use public capital very thoughtfully and the journey they're going on to try and do that better and better. And then and also some really powerful feedback from the small businesses for both passionate people trying to grow their businesses and needing that support, and also compelling stories about the reach they have, and a sense of things changing, the opportunities presented by new technology. And some of them had been directly, trying to access finance from the bank and had experiences of that both being helpful and frustrating in equal measures, which we probably all recognize with our conversations with any bank. It sets you up for those things. So anyway, wonderful in our group. Welcome back. In this final plenary now, we're going to kind of open up the conversation about how can public development banks and small businesses collaborate on making food systems greener and more inclusive. But let's start by trying to lift the lessons from what we've just heard in those small groups. And I'm actually going to ask the the CEOs from each of the banks to share what they heard. What did you hear from the SMEs that you can kind of feel like you could summarize as things you're listening? It's not necessarily you're going to be able to take them all on, but I'm really curious what you heard you could carry forward into your work. So perhaps how about we start with Alan in sharing some of your thoughts from Mexico and FIRA, I don't know if you say FIRA, F-I-R-A. Yeah, what did you hear from folks?
Thank you, Ian. Yes, well, we had the participation of a number of SMEs. I will say that we, as you said, we needed some more time to discuss all the questions, but we had approximately 4 or 5 good questions that were interesting to hear for us. The first one is about our services. This is an SME that has used certain services, not necessarily funding, but about having more availability of certain services that have to do with the use of bio fertilizers, and that they are practicing, and they would like to get some assistance by specialized people that we can contact. So that is an interesting point that we will resolve, and we ask the information of Jesus to do a contact and start that. The second one, and maybe this was the most common heard, is about the cost of credit. Cost of credit is something that is actually very important. We understand that. And well, the issues related to that are first the reality of our country, that is a country that has interest rates that go around 6.5%. This is the interbank rate. So if we compare to the rates of the US or Europe or China, well, you can easily learn that we are in a disadvantage, and this is a topic that is something that is related to a country risk. So it was interesting also to talk about the components of the interest rate that ends up in the hands of the SME. So we talked about the guarantee programs that we have that help to lower the final interest rate that gets to the SME. Our guarantees, on our experience, can lower 200%, 200 basis points the interest rates that are reaching the SMEs, and we can also confirm certain discounts that are given by the Agence Française de Développement that works with us and has made possible a discount that can go up to 400 basis points for loans that are related to the climate, to technologies that are good for the climate. So those were the most interesting and important questions. We had also some questions about the strategy and also how to get those discounts, which I described in detail.
Wow, thank you. What's interesting to me in hearing that is there are some elements that seem quite traditional about just the struggle of supporting small businesses in a kind of emerging economy. And the other element there at the end, which is about this new challenge that's being laid on to public development banks, which is about getting us ready for climate change and a transition to a greener food system, and a kind of thoughtfulness about how you integrate that alongside perhaps the work that's been going on in the last decade to strengthen finance into the sector. Let's move then maybe to Rwanda next. Jean-Claude, be curious to get just a few minutes of your reflections of the main things you heard from your group.
Thank you, Ian. Actually, we discussed about, we shared what BRD is doing, the Development Bank of Rwanda, so in terms of supporting the agriculture and small farmers. So we discussed about the facility that we have, being the short-term, long-term, but also important the wholesale on lending that we do to other financial institutions to make sure that we get to the smallest farmers in needs. So we also talked about the guarantee that we are having and what we are actually we are working on to expand the guarantee cover to other areas. Currently, we are focusing on horticulture. We also shared with the participant on the matching grant that we have, which also support the farmers to access the market, especially the international market. Also, some component of advisory services which we provide to make sure that we're also supporting and addressing some of the challenges that are actually also hindering the access to finance. So in terms of providing some trainings to some of our clients to make sure that they improve their management style, and also they also have scale-up plans. So I also shared with the colleagues some of the experience that we had, where we could see the small farmers putting themselves together and forming a sort of cooperative and come up with have a strong and financial stand for them to access the financing, and we have seen that really working very well. I could see some of people growing within that approach. Also shared with the friend, the colleagues and participants on how we are also being supporting the scaling up. So to ensure that we have been supporting a farmer for the last 5 years, but we have to make sure that activity is moving from one stage to one level to another. So probably from production to access, now going to the process side of it. So those were actually the experience that BRD has for the last, as I mentioned, the last 55 years that we have been supporting the economy. So from the discussions that we had with the participant, actually it was good actually to share the experience. I was actually happy to hear some of the participants that are running businesses to support actually the farmers to make sure they are bankable, to try to help them to make them becoming bankable for them to be able to access the funds, and also other participants that shared the concerns or the challenges that they have been facing to access the financing, mainly because banks, as they were saying, they are more focused on these big transactions, these big deals, and also very importantly the issue of innovation and technology, where banks still have probably culture of doing the traditional way of financing agriculture, where when you come up with an innovative solution to actually boost or to improve on the food processing or agriculture sector, the banks are not really ready to jump in. But what I shared with them is that now the BRD we changed a little bit on our approach, where now we'll be focusing much on value chain to make sure that whatever we are doing, it is from end to end. So we are not actually focusing on isolated, farmer or investment. So we make sure that all linkages are catered for and to ensure that the success of the whole, the whole value chain. I think briefly that's what we discussed. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean-Claude. That's great. It was certainly compelling to hear your work. I was in that session. I had some really compelling entrepreneurs who were bringing using technology to aggregate lots of smaller producers for the passion. I also had a challenge at times for them to be taken seriously, either just as a new entrepreneur entering the world, where banks would like to have somebody that's really established with collateral and everything behind them, but actually these new innovators need support, and not only to be taken seriously as young entrepreneurs, but also as a young woman by banks, and a challenge there to make sure that banks give women fair and equal access. That was another challenge that was laid down that I feel compared to say in plenary here. So let me move on to Mr. Malik Ndai, the CEO of La Banque Agricole, to share what feedback did you hear from the SMEs about what they loved about your offering and what you might do even better?
Merci beaucoup. Merci. J'espère que je passe bien cette fois-ci. J'avais quelques soucis techniques dans la première phase de notre session, mais je voudrais aussi indiquer que nous avons beaucoup échangé dans notre groupe du Sénégal. Nous avons entendu la promotrice Séni qui travaille sur les produits de nutrition infantile, le coût du crédit, qui est une problématique effectivement dans la zone UEMOA, puisque nous avons un marché financier qui n'est pas très approfondi et nous avons des coûts de ressources très élevés. J'y reviendrai tout à l'heure. Julien, avec qui nous avons travaillé pour faire de la finance climatique une réalité avec des propositions de kits solaires destinés à nos maraîchers, nos petits exploitants qui travaillent dans l'horticulture. Donc c'est une expérience innovante aujourd'hui que la banque poursuit dans d'autres domaines. Ce que nous comprenons bien évidemment que la question de l'accès au crédit des petites et moyennes entreprises est une question cruciale, est une question qui intéresse bien évidemment dans notre cas, puisque nous sommes dans le secteur agricole, nous sommes la seule banque qui intervenons dans le secteur agricole. Bien évidemment, les problématiques et les défis sont encore plus complexes. Mais comme a dit mon collègue du Rwanda, une approche de partenariat, une approche de gestion de risque, une approche intégrant évidemment les aspects non financiers qui participent à améliorer l'environnement de l'entreprise PME. Et c'est puisque la question qui nous est posée tous à la fin de la journée, c'est que en tant que banque, nous sommes régulés et les superviseurs ont l'œil sur le risque de contrepartie, les risques de crédit et les risques opérationnels auxquels les banques doivent avoir suffisamment de fonds propres pour couvrir les déposants et l'ensemble des prérequis qui sont exigés du système bancaire. Donc, un système bancaire a des portefeuilles sains. Et donc, nous avons bien noté et nous pensons que nous avons des solutions que nous mettons aujourd'hui à la disposition de l'État du Sénégal, avec qui nous travaillons beaucoup sur les subventions, sur les soutiens agriculteurs. Et nous pensons qu'il est important que ce partenariat public-privé soit renforcé et maintenu. Et au-delà de l'État, il y a tous les autres acteurs avec qui nous travaillons. Cheikh l'a dit tout à l'heure, un de mes collaborateurs. Nous avons des projets et des programmes soutenus par des bailleurs de fonds multilatéraux comme bilatéralement avec les projets. Et tout cela, nous
It sounds to me like we've got some struggle with the sound. Other people struggling with the connection.
À les amener avec la destinée aux exploitants agricoles. Par exemple, nous avons un taux d'intérêt bénéfique. Vous m'entendez les autres?
Très mal.
Oui.
Non, je crois qu'il va falloir conclure malheureusement, Malik.
Okay.
Il y a un problème de son. Alors, donc oui. Je suis désolé, hein, je suis désolé pour cette partie de cet après-midi qui n'a pas beaucoup réussi, mais je voudrais simplement simplement vous dire que nous sommes vraiment désolés, hein, mais nous avons bien participé à votre réflexion et mes collaborateurs pourraient éventuellement comprendre.
Yeah, so I think that was great. I think what I did hear that I thought was interesting in particular was it sounds like La Banque Agricole is really starting to stretch into thinking how it uses its finance for climate purposes. And I actually think that we've just got a few minutes, but that's where I want to direct the last few minutes of open discussion is, a lot of the relationship here that I think there's been a lot of work done on is how to support the sector by improving capital and lowering interest rates. That's happened, that work has been going on and there's innovations, but it feels like the front edge of innovation is actually how to support a transition to a greener food system. And I'm beginning to hear some instruments there. It strikes me there are some risks there for small businesses that are doing that work. A lot of you are just asking still to get the basics sorted out of affordable capital, and whether layering on extra expectations about climate impact could be a barrier, make it more complicated to access. That's the trade-off we have here in this space as we innovate. But on the other hand, many of you in the food system, we knowing how important climate is, and we have to make that transition to a greener food system. I'm curious just to invite any final reflections. We've only got a few minutes left from anybody that feels like they've got thoughts on how we get that part of right about making our financing greener while continuing to support the kind of basic development of a robust and food and agriculture sector. I can see some hands going up. Abdulaziz, you've got your hand up there. Perhaps you'd like to share some thoughts.
Oui, donc merci beaucoup, hein. Merci vraiment pour ce temps qui nous a été donné, et encore une fois, au nom du DG, on s'excuse pour les désagréments. Moi, ce que je voulais, et je suis sûr que c'est la dernière partie que voulait entamer un peu le DG de la Banque agricole. Donc, au-delà de tout ce qui a été décrit, hein, en rapport de partenariat, de mise en synergie avec tout ce que fait l'État du Sénégal en termes de projets et programmes, aujourd'hui, la Banque agricole a pris aussi un virage, j'allais dire, il aborde un tournant assez décisif en donnant des réponses très concrètes aujourd'hui sur la finance climatique. Nous sommes donc la seconde entité accréditée du Fonds vert pour le climat au Sénégal pour l'accès direct, ce qui est un enjeu fondamental avec des opportunités donc de fourniture de produits et services liés en rapport avec l'adaptation et l'atténuation au changement climatique. Au-delà de ce qu'on a conduit sur le pompage solaire, nous sommes en train de travailler pour la petite agriculture rurale sur des concept notes pour définir justement des produits financiers taillés au degré de vulnérabilité de ces cibles-là, aussi bien pour les femmes, les jeunes, parce que voilà, c'est des couches parfois qui sont exclues des schémas de financement classiques parce que ne répondant pas souvent aux critères des banques. Alors quand on a accès, quand on arrive à dérisquer aussi le système financier dans sa globalité en mettant en œuvre aujourd'hui un système de gestion donc des risques, partant d'une bonne évaluation de ces risques, une bonne diligence avec donc le client, la banque accompagne justement les porteurs de projets à mieux s'adapter à son environnement donc avec lequel nous travaillons. L'autre chose, c'est que nous avons aussi une politique genre orientée vers les couches sensibles, femmes et jeunes, pour lesquelles nous travaillons en rapport aussi avec les projets et programmes sur des portefeuilles dédiés, en essayant d'avoir donc en amont des lignes de financement calibrées justement aussi à leurs activités, à leur niveau de vulnérabilité et à leur niveau également de financement. Voilà un peu toutes les réponses. Donc aujourd'hui, nous travaillons sur une stratégie sur la finance verte, sur la finance climat, qui va nous permettre donc sur 2022 à 2025 d'adresser véritablement des questions de financement sur l'adaptation et l'atténuation au changement climatique. Le DG est bien revenu un peu avec Cheikh Ndiaye sur tous les projets et programmes, aussi en lien avec certaines organisations, les organisations de l'État, les projets, les ONG. Et pour tout cela, l'idée c'est quoi? C'est de dérisquer les financements et d'atteindre justement les cibles qui n'ont pas accès au financement. Donc voilà un peu ce que je voulais ajouter. Voilà, à la suite donc du DG et mes autres collègues. Merci.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. Okay, I think we've got one, probably space for one short final comment from anybody. And I can see Dare William, you've had your hand up for a while. So perhaps if you just take a minute to share your thoughts. I think what's nice, You're, I think, coming in from Nigeria, so be great to have one voice from external of these three countries to see, perhaps what's relevant beyond the boundaries of these countries that's more universal to your experience there.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a wonderful webinar. And concerning the smallholder farmers in Nigeria, and I think I want to address this question to the entire African nation. The challenge we have as smallholder farmers is financing. The banking sector in Africa is not helping the matter at all. You can't see any of the banks coming to assist you or to assist the smallholder farmers. So it's very difficult to access funds. So if you come to Africa and Nigeria as a whole, and you are discussing with farmers, the major challenge they will tell you is funding. There is no way you can get funds except for those who have arrived. So the funds are only meant for, not the startup, it's only meant for those who have arrived. So these are the problems in Nigeria and Africa, and I don't see, or I don't see how this can be done. So I'm looking at if we can have a financial institution from outside the country who can look at the viable agricultural opportunity in Africa and see how they can invest, because we only pay a lip services. So I think if we can, foreign investors, capital investors can look at Africa and invest and help the smallholder farmers, we can feed the whole world. And I believe that Africa has what it takes to feed the world if the smallholders are well equipped and empowered. That is my take.
Thank you so much, Dare. That's the challenge laid down. We're just gonna invite some closing comments. But as I listen into this conversation, it's been. I feel really grateful for the number of people that have turned up with a great deal of passion. And I can see that passion on both sides. Like, it's a classic tension between the entrepreneur and the bank. There is not an entrepreneur that you speak to that's ever anywhere in the world not a bit grumpy with their bank. But when I listen on the other side, I can see the banks struggling to make sure that they invest their public capital well to support the sector, and they have an impossible challenge. I'm hoping, and I've seen all sorts of little connections in the chats of the banks genuinely offering email addresses and phone numbers for sustaining this conversation. And because actually when I hear you all struggling to make our food better from your different places. And so actually the more we can see that a common challenge for which you are coming from either side of a table, but actually we're working on the same thing here. I think there's real opportunity to sustain this conversation to figure out how we make our food system greener, more nourishing, more sustainable, more inclusive. That's really powerful. So I hope this conversation continues kind of directly at country level, which is where it will be best held. I'm glad we've started it. But I'm going to hand over now actually for some closing remarks. Firstly, from Javier, who from Smartfish, just to reflect back what your hope as an entrepreneur, as somebody that's owning a small business. You've heard this. What are your hopes for the future here in terms of the nature of the work that's being done by the public development banks? And then we'll go over to Christian to close back out on behalf of the coalition. Javier.
Bueno, voy a hacerlas. I'm going to do it in Spanish.
Okay.
Since I've been just trying to think about how we talk today. Yo estoy contento y me gusta el trabajo que los bancos de desarrollo están tratando de hacer en cada uno de los países o regiones donde están trabajando. Claramente hay un esfuerzo por hacerlo. Por otro lado, hemos visto que, de acuerdo a Naciones Unidas, el desarrollo de pequeños productores es fundamental para atacar problemas reales como el cambio climático, la pobreza, el hambre, la seguridad alimentaria. Y las SMEs, las pequeñas empresas, trabajan de forma local solucionando problemas globales. Y es importante que puedan tener acceso a ventajas globales más que a restricciones locales, que es lo que está pasando actualmente con los mismos bancos. El cambio climático, la pobreza y la seguridad alimentaria son todos problemas reales y se enfrentan al riesgo que se calcula en cada país para el costo del dinero. Pero el riesgo de no apoyar emprendimientos que trabajan para resolver problemas globales es mucho más grande que el riesgo de impagos de créditos que nos puedan dar a los pequeños productores. Yo creo que es importante poner el dinero al servicio del planeta y dejar de poner el planeta al servicio del dinero. Tengo la esperanza, si no, no estaríamos trabajando, ninguno de los que trabajamos, en que las cosas van mejorando, y estoy muy contento con el apoyo o con el empuje que le está dando incluso Naciones Unidas a la comida y al desarrollo de la comida, y a saber que alimentarte de buena forma es la solución para el planeta. Me gustaría hacia el futuro que haya, como se expresó a lo largo de todas estas personas, que haya una mejor relación entre el acceso al dinero y las capacidades de desarrollo que podamos tener todos nosotros. Eso todo.
Wow, thank you, Javier. That was really powerful. It's funny, it came through when it was translated. It was very powerfully put. I said, let's put money in service of the planet, not the planet in service of money. So that was really strong. Thank you. Right, well, with that, let me hand you over to Christian. You're going to be in the heart of this Public Development Bank Coalition going forwards. I know you're, trying to bring together these banks from all over the world to figure out how to do this. We don't have all the answers yet. What have you taken from this session? What next?
Yes, thank you very much, Jan, and thank you, everybody, even high number of participants. It's a pleasure, but sure we'll need another session to go deeper in the discussing the solutions. But on behalf of IFAD and the PDB, Public Development Bank Coalition, I want to thank all the speakers from SMEs, PDBs, for the session. Very interesting, too short, of course, but the objective was to launch the discussion and to better know what are the questions and problems seen by the SMEs and the way PDBs are able or not to answer. So I have noted from my side 3-4 points, I think, which will be very useful to continue working and thinking about the subject. First is the importance of national policies. If you have no links with the government and no capacity to discuss on the way they will take incentive measures to help the public development banks to adapt their financial products and the subsidies for such or such sector which are considered as urgent and necessary for the development in rural areas, it will work. So importance of national policies and advocacy to do that. Also, the importance to adapt the financial products to the different steps of development of the SMEs, and particularly when we are going to the scaling up of the small SME, which is growing, and we need to adapt the financial products. And I think there is a job to do in different countries to do that. I was happy to hear about some financial products which already exist in terms of green financing or inclusive financing or sustainable agriculture. I've heard, and particularly for the Senegal case, that there were some solar energy, water management, irrigation, organic, biodigester, which were already financed by the bank, and also linked with financial and non-financial services. So it is a very important subject to continue to discuss what is the good balance between financial and non-financial services for public development banks, and what are the major and priorities needs from the SME side. We didn't have time to discuss that deeper. Also, the importance to promote public-private partnerships, and that has to be encouraged, and to get some more example on the way to do that. Of course, it is at the country level that we have to continue pushing, and not in generally international events. We have to follow what is going on at the country level. Sure, I'm sure that we will continue discussing, Jan and Alice and Julian, but probably it will be useful to go a step further and to continue the discussion between SMEs and PDB. So I wanted to thank you very much. I hope it will be useful for each other.
Thank you, Christian. That was great to hear those things that you heard. We're over time. I'm really grateful. We've got a great showing. Thank you so much, everybody, for turning up today, but more, thank you for the work that you're all doing in your own position in the food system to make our food better. It's not easy. We've got to change a whole system that isn't actually giving us perhaps the outcomes we want, and you're all doing it, pushing forward together from your place. So yeah, thanks for your hard work. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Thank you. See you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.